Just because it's taking longer than you expected doesn't mean God has denied you. Delay does not equal denial. But you know what our problem is? We've been conditioned by a world that worships speed. We want quick answers, fast breakthroughs, microwave miracles. And when it doesn't happen overnight, we start doubting the vision God gave us. We start thinking, maybe it wasn't really from God. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I'm not good enough. But hear me today, God's delay is part of his design. I remember one season of my life where I thought, this is it. This is my moment. I had prayed, prepared, and positioned myself, and I was sure the breakthrough was around the corner, but the corner came and nothing happened. Month after month, I waited. I fought discouragement. I fought the whispers of the enemy saying, see, God forgot about you. But it wasn't true. Because while it looked like nothing was happening on the outside, something powerful was happening on the inside. God was stretching my faith. God was expanding my capacity. God was teaching me to trust him even when I couldn't trace him. Some of you right now are in that same place. You're sowing seeds, you're putting in the work, you're praying fervently, but you don't see the harvest yet. Let me tell you, the harvest is still coming. The delay is not to punish you. It's to prepare you so that when the door opens, you are fully ready to thrive inside it, not just survive it. God is not slow concerning his promises. He's strategic. He's deliberate. He's arranging things behind the scenes in ways you couldn't possibly understand right now. If he gave you the blessing too early, it could destroy you. If he gave you the platform too soon, you might not have the character to carry it. If he gave you the relationship before you were healed, you might sabotage it. So instead of complaining about the delay, start praising God for it. Because it's a sign that he's taking your destiny seriously. He's not rushing your development because he's planning to do something extraordinary through you. When a seed is planted, there's a long season where nothing appears above the surface, but underneath, the roots are growing deep. The foundation is getting strong. And if you were to pull up that seed too early, you'd kill what was meant to grow into something mighty. You're not buried. You're being planted. You're not forgotten. You're being prepared. Don't you dare give up in the middle just because it's taking longer than you thought. The clock you're watching is not the clock God is operating on. His timing is perfect. His ways are higher. His plans are bigger. And when the right moment comes, when everything aligns, you'll realize why he made you wait. You'll understand why he said no to the thing you cried over. You'll thank him for every second he protected you from less than his best. So keep sowing, keep praying, keep believing. Your current delay is not your denial. It's just a setup for a comeback bigger than you can even imagine. Stay ready, because when God moves, it's going to be suddenly, and it's going to be exceedingly abundantly above all that you could ask or think. Some of you are looking at a closed door right now and calling it failure. You're looking at that job you didn't get, that relationship that didn't work out, that opportunity that slipped through your fingers, and you're thinking, God, why would you let that happen? Why would you let it fall apart? But what if I told you that door didn't close to hurt you? It closed to protect you. See, you and I, we see today. We see what's right in front of us. But God sees tomorrow, next year, 10 years down the road. He sees the hidden traps behind that opportunity you thought was a blessing. He sees the heartbreak behind that relationship you were begging him to save. He sees the spiritual attacks, the sleepless nights, the tears you would have cried if he said yes. And because he loves you so much, he will not allow you to walk into places that will destroy the destiny he planted inside you. I can't tell you how many times I cried over closed doors that later on I had to lift my hands and say, God, thank you for not letting me settle for that. At the time, it felt like devastation. It felt like rejection. But in hindsight, it was pure mercy, pure grace. Sometimes the most powerful blessings come disguised as unanswered prayers. You have to understand, rejection is often redirection. When that door slams shut, it's not God saying, you'll never make it. It's God saying, I have a better way. I have a higher path. I have something you can't even see yet. And sometimes he has to break our hearts to save our futures. Sometimes he has to disappoint our plans to deliver on his promises. Sometimes he has to interrupt what we thought was perfect to introduce us to something that is eternal. Imagine if Joseph had gotten bitter when his brother sold him into slavery. If he had stayed angry at the closed door of his childhood dreams, he would have missed the throne God was preparing for him in Egypt. Imagine if David had gotten stuck grieving when he was overlooked by his own family. He would have missed the call to be king. Sometimes the closed door is the very thing that launches you into the assignment you were born for. But you've got to trust him. You've got to believe that a closed door isn't a dead end. It's a divine detour. It's a setup. It's God positioning you, pruning you, pushing you towards something greater than you would have chosen for yourself. When God closes a door, it's not because he's trying to keep you out. It's because he's about to open something no man can shut. That's why you don't have to beg people to stay in your life. You don't have to manipulate your way into rooms. You don't have to force open doors. What God has for you will not require you to compromise your peace, your character, or your calling. If you have to kick it open, twist yourself into knots, or lose yourself to keep it, trust me, it's not your door. And don't just mourn the doors that closed. Praise him for them. Praise him for the doors that locked you out, because sometimes being locked out of a lesser thing is what positions you for the greater thing. Praise him for every relationship that ended, every opportunity that slipped away, every plan that failed, because all of it is leading you to the right place, the right people, and the right purpose. You don't have to be afraid of closed doors anymore. They are not a sign of failure. They are a sign of favor. They are evidence that your life is under divine surveillance, that you have a Father who loves you too much to let you settle for anything less than his very best. You've been praying for the breakthrough. You've been asking God for that promotion, that elevation, that platform, and I get it. I understand the hunger, the longing, the desire to step into something greater. But here's something I need you to understand. God is not in a rush to give you the blessing until you're ready to carry it. Promotion is not just about getting, it's about becoming. Think about it for a moment. When you're promoted, you're given more responsibility, more influence, more access, more resources. And the higher you go, the more weight you carry. And if you don't have the strength, the wisdom, and the maturity to handle that weight, you won't be able to sustain the blessing. That's why God sometimes takes longer to promote us. It's not because he's withholding from us, but because he's building us up. He's making sure that when the door opens, we have the capacity to thrive, not just survive. I remember a time in my own life when I was desperate for the next level. I thought I was ready, honestly. I had the drive, the vision, the skills. I was putting in the work. But there was something God knew that I didn't. I wasn't ready in my character. I wasn't ready in my mindset. I hadn't yet learned to handle success with humility, with grace, with patience. I didn't know how to deal with the pressures of leadership. God took me through a process where I was forced to grow, to mature in ways that I didn't understand at the time. I faced setbacks, I faced disappointments. I faced moments of isolation where I wondered if anything would ever change. But looking back now, I can see that all those moments were preparing me. God was teaching me resilience. He was teaching me how to manage my time, how to deal with criticism, how to lead with compassion, how to serve, even when I didn't feel like it. And most importantly, he was teaching me to trust him, not just for the destination, but for the journey. God's preparation process can feel like a wilderness season. It can feel like you're stuck, like you're going nowhere, like you're not making progress. But remember this, the wilderness is where God grows you. It's where he strips you of your self-sufficiency and teaches you to depend on him. It's where he refines you, purifies your heart, and shows you that your strength comes from him, not from your own abilities. Don't fight the process. Don't resent the waiting. Don't get frustrated with the delays. Because what God is doing right now is building a foundation under you that can handle the blessing that's coming. If you're asking God for a big promotion, a big platform, a big opportunity, Don't be surprised when he takes you through the wilderness. Don't be surprised when he takes you through the school of hard knocks. Don't be surprised when he takes you through the school of hard knocks. It's not because he's punishing you, it's because he's preparing you for the weight of what's ahead. And he wants to make sure you don't just get the blessing, but you can handle it when it comes. The reality is this: God will never promote you beyond your level of preparation. If you want the promotion, you've got to be willing to embrace the preparation. And I'm not just talking about your skills, your talents, or your knowledge. I'm talking about your character, your faith, your patience, your integrity. All of these things are essential for the next level. God is not just concerned about what you do, he's concerned about who you are while you're doing it. So when you feel stuck, when you feel like you're not making any progress, remind yourself that God is at work. He is shaping you, molding you, preparing you to step into something bigger, something greater than you ever imagined. He's not withholding your promotion. He's making sure that when he opens that door, you walk through it with the strength, the wisdom, and the maturity to handle what's on the other side. Now, here's where the rubber meets the road. I know you've been working hard. I know you've been putting in the hours, giving it your all, staying up late, doing everything you can to position yourself for success. But let me remind you, none of that is what truly unlocks the door. Faith is the key that unlocks the door. And faith isn't just something you talk about on Sundays. Faith is something you live every day. It's not just the belief that something good will happen. It's the belief that something good is already happening, even when you can't see it. You can't see the door opening, but faith says it's already done. You can't see the breakthrough yet, but faith says it's on the way. You can't feel it, you can't touch it. But faith says, I know it's coming because God promised it. And here's the thing about faith. It doesn't wait until you see the door before you believe it's going to open. Faith believes the door's already open before you even knock on it. That's the kind of faith that moves mountains. That's the kind of faith that walks into a room and says, I don't know how, I don't know when, but I know it's mine. Faith says, I'm going to keep walking forward even when I can't see the ground beneath me, because I know God is leading me to something greater. There was a time in my life when I had to make a decision about my future. I didn't know what was ahead. I didn't know if I was going to succeed or fail. All I knew was that I had this vision inside me, this dream God had given me, and I had to believe that the door was going to open even though it looked like nothing was happening. And I had to walk forward with the kind of faith that says, I may not have the resources, the connections, or the experience right now, but I know God will provide everything I need at the right time. Let me be clear, faith isn't passive. Faith isn't sitting around waiting for things to happen. Faith moves, faith acts. Faith steps into the unknown, trusting that God is going to show up. It's the confidence that even when you don't know how, God knows exactly how to make it happen. When you take a step of faith, you're not stepping into the unknown by yourself. You're stepping into it with the creator of the universe who knows all, sees all, and has already prepared the way for you. It's like a light in the dark. When you walk by faith, it doesn't mean you can see the whole picture. It just means you can see enough to take the next step. And you keep walking, and with every step you get closer, and with every step you get stronger, and with every step the door that once seemed impossible to open begins to creak open. You don't need to understand the whole plan. You just need to trust God with the next step. That's the key. That's the faith that unlocks the door. God will not open the door for you if you're not willing to take a step of faith toward it. Faith is not just believing God can do something, it's believing he will do something. Faith says, I don't see it yet, but I believe it's on its way. Faith moves forward when everything around you says, stop. Faith believes in what God promised, even when the evidence doesn't match what you're seeing. That's the kind of faith that opens doors no one can shut. When you move in faith, you activate the power of God to work on your behalf. You may not know how God is going to open the door, but you trust that he will. You may not know when he's going to open it, but you believe it's coming, and when the door opens, when that moment arrives, you'll know that your faith made it happen. That's the power of faith. It's not just believing for the door to open, It's trusting that it will and acting as if it already has. It's walking into the unknown with the confidence that the one who's called you to walk this path will never leave you or forsake you. He's already made a way, and when you step through that door, you'll look back and see how God used your faith to make the impossible possible. When that door opens, and it will, don't hesitate. Don't second guess. Don't talk yourself out of it. Step boldly. Walk through that door like you've been expecting it, like you've known for years that it was coming even when you couldn't see it. When that door swings open, that's your moment. And it's not time to shrink back. It's time to step forward, to step in with confidence, with courage, with the understanding that this is exactly where you're supposed to be. I know it can be tempting to hesitate when the door opens. Maybe you've been waiting for so long that when it finally comes, you think, am I really ready for this? Is this really for me? What if I mess up? Let me tell you something. If that door is opening, it's because you are ready, whether you feel ready or not. God doesn't wait for you to feel perfect. He doesn't wait for you to feel completely equipped. He waits for you to step in faith, because when you do, that's when he equips you. The moment you step through, the grace you need to walk through it will be there. The wisdom, the strength, the favor, the resources. You'll find it on the other side of your obedience. There was a time in my life when I had to take a leap of faith. I knew the door was opening, but I was scared. I had doubts. The responsibility seemed overwhelming. It seemed like too much. But then I realized this wasn't the time to shrink back. This wasn't the time to wait for everything to line up perfectly. The door had opened, and that meant it was time to go. That meant it was time to trust what God had already put inside me. All the lessons, all the struggles, all the preparation. This was the moment it all came together. And that door, though intimidating, was the key to my next level. I want you to hear me today. God is calling you to step boldly. He's not calling you to step cautiously or to step back and second guess or to wait until everything feels comfortable. No, he's calling you to step boldly, confidently, knowing that he is the one who opened the door. And if he opened it, he's already made a way for you to walk through it. He's already gone ahead of you. He's already set the stage. He's already prepared the path. All that's left for you to do is walk through and trust him every step of the way. I've seen people miss their moment because they were waiting for more confirmation, more signs, more security. They were waiting for everything to feel perfect. But hear me, the door doesn't always open when you feel perfect. It opens when God decides it's time for you to step into something greater. And you have to walk through it, not because you have it all together, but because you trust that God has it all together for you. It's time to stop playing small. It's time to stop doubting your worth. It's time to stop questioning whether or not you deserve the success that's about to come your way. You belong in that room. You belong in that position. You belong at that table. When that door opens, walk in like you own the place, not out of arrogance, but out of faith. Faith in the God who opened that door. Faith in the calling he placed on your life. Faith in the preparation that's already taken place in you. The truth is, that door is a gift. It's a blessing that you've prayed for, waited for, worked for. And when it opens, you owe it to yourself, to your future, and to the people you're meant to serve to step through it and claim everything God has for you. You owe it to the dream that's been inside you, the vision that's been planted in your heart, to step through with boldness and confidence, ready to fulfill your purpose. Don't stand there wondering if you're ready. God has already said you are. Don't stand there questioning if you belong. God has already chosen you. Step boldly, because the door is for you and the time is now. This is your moment. Walk through it. Don't hesitate. Don't wait. Don't shrink back. Step through that door with the full assurance that when God opens a door, no one can shut it. And when he calls you forward, he will give you everything you need to succeed. When that door opens, you don't have to wonder if it's the right one. You don't have to doubt whether this is the place you're meant to be. The right door will always align with your purpose. You might not always understand it at first, and it might not always look like what you imagined, but when the right door opens, it will lead you to exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Let me tell you about a time in my life when I found myself standing at a door that didn't look like what I expected. I had prayed, I had worked, I had visioned this perfect opportunity that was supposed to align with everything I thought I wanted. And when the door opened, I was confused. It didn't look like the perfect picture I had painted in my mind. In fact, it didn't look like much of anything at all. It looked small. It looked like it wasn't even a door worth walking through. But God reminded me that the right door doesn't always come in a package that matches your expectations. The right door is the one that aligns with your purpose, not your preferences. The truth is, sometimes God will open doors that challenge you, stretch you, and take you to places you never thought you could go. They will force you to grow, to become more than you've ever been before. They won't always be the comfortable, easy path you would have chosen, but if you trust that God knows what he's doing, if you trust that he sees the bigger picture, you'll walk through that door knowing it is exactly where you're supposed to be. Think about Joseph. When he first dreamed the dream of ruling over his brothers, he probably imagined a smooth, glamorous rise to power. He probably thought it would happen in a way that made sense to him. But what happened? His dreams led him into a pit, into slavery, into a prison. None of those doors seemed to align with the dream he had. But here's the key. Even in the pit, even in the prison, those doors were leading him toward his purpose. They were all part of the plan to get him to the throne. What looked like setbacks were actually setups. What seemed like detours were actually part of the straight path to his destiny. God knew the right door, and it wasn't the one Joseph thought he wanted. It was the one that would align with his purpose in ways he couldn't have seen from the beginning. The same is true for you. You might be looking at your life right now and thinking, this isn't what I envisioned. This isn't how I thought it was supposed to go. But what if the path you're on is exactly the one you need to be on? What if the doors that have opened and the ones that haven't are all part of a greater plan that aligns with your true purpose? The right door isn't about comfort or convenience. It's about alignment with God's will for your life. And when that door opens, you will feel it in your spirit. You will know that this is where you're supposed to be. You won't have to force it. You won't have to wonder if it's right. You'll just know. I can't tell you how many times I've stood at a door that didn't look like what I expected. And I've seen so many others walk away from opportunities that didn't look perfect because they thought it wasn't the right one. But I'm here to tell you today, the right door will always bring you closer to your purpose. It may not always feel comfortable. It may not always look glamorous. It may stretch you in ways you didn't plan for, but trust me, when you walk through that door, you'll find that it aligns with everything God created you for. Don't let the outward appearance of a door fool you. The right door is the one that will challenge you to grow, that will push you into the purpose you were made for. When you walk through it, you'll discover that it was the door that led you to exactly where you needed to be all along, even if you couldn't see it from the outside. Trust that God is working behind the scenes to align everything perfectly. Trust that he knows your purpose better than you do. And when that door opens, step through it confidently, knowing it will always align with your divine calling.